Hello, everyone. This is criminal profiler Pat Brown, and this is Patron Hangout number 162. And we've been having some great conversation in the chat room before we start the show. And it's some of the comments are very concerning. Some of them came from me. Oh my God, that's even more concerning. But if you'd like to be in the chat room, just letting you know, please do click on the link below and for Patreon and join at $5 a month. It supports an educational channel, and you can come to 8 lives every month, 2 every week. There's a hangout like this, and also on the weekends I do the case show, the analysis of a case, and I like to do them live because I like interaction, not just staring into a camera. So I also do put out videos during the week that are just taped videos, but I do love my live shows. So please join if you would like. And if you don't want to do that, please do at least subscribe to the channel, click the bell for notifications, and check my playlist because there's a whole bunch of stuff on there that nobody even seems to run into because they don't check playlists. But do that. All right. Again, I want to say hello to everybody in the chat room who is now DL just showed up. I said hello to most everybody else, I think. Whoa, wait a minute. This is your first live. So happy to be here. Well, I'm glad you're here too. That's great. And I hope it turns out the way you want. Because you missed a lot of stuff we talked about before the show started. Like, I'm going to have to bring this up now. So we were talking about my possession of an ass hose. Now, this is also called a hambade. And I spent time in India where these were prominent in homes, and they were very useful, especially if there was no toilet paper. And when we had the toilet paper crisis in the United States, where suddenly there was no toilet paper available, and everybody raced to the stores and bought out everything, I was sitting home in comfort because I had an ass hose. So I highly recommend everybody own an ass hose. It's good for emergencies where there is no available toilet paper, but also saves toilet paper. And if you forget to put toilet paper in your bathroom that one time and you go, oh my God, what do I do? You've got an ass hose. This is a public service announcement, which has nothing to do with crime, but I thought you might like to know. Well, I still say it and I'm 69, so what can I say? Oh my goodness. Anyway, so that's one thing. And I also want to thank Weevil for coming up with some great ideas for merch. He said, here's what I should have t-shirts. And the t-shirts is saying they're all good. I've been profiled by Pat Brown. I'm a psychopath, which I say all the time. Not about me, but other people. I'm a dolt, which I also say about other people. Like, that guy's such a dolt. I'm squirrely. I use squirrely a lot. And fine. Oh, and I'm not sure about the last one, but 12 people off a bus stop is what I say about the civilian jury system. So one of these days, maybe I'll have to do merch, but I'm too lazy so far. So don't be an asshole. Oh God. Okay, that'll work. And hello, Lisa. Welcome. Now you wonder why I do live. It's because I have a much better time. It's so good. Oh my God. Yes, a lot of people actually ask me why I do live, and they believe that I'd be much more professional if I just did videos. I probably would be, but I like doing lives, and it makes me happy to be in a community that I have fun with, and and it makes the 2 long shows a week worth doing, as opposed to I'm always alone, just let's say staring into a camera. It's not so much fun. So yeah, I like doing live. So thank you guys for being here. All right. So the next thing, as before we start into the crime stuff, because I always get this question, the question about the cat. Okay, here's my feral cat. He is now taken to, after he eats, he actually laid down and put his head down and went to sleep. So I'm going to say that's progress. He is now, I told you last time, I'm using these delectables, and I squeeze it on my hand and hold it out now, and he'll now lick the stuff off my hand next to my bed. And then the other day, using these chicken, freeze-dried chicken things that you soak a little bit, I was actually able to hold one out like this, and he took it out of my hand. So progress is being made with the feral cat. And now going on 7 months, he still will not let me touch him, but he is touching me. So I guess that's progress. So it's quite the challenge. And but I don't know. He comes in the evening and he makes his way about. What? Wonder where else? Just next to the bed. No. I'm not sure about that question. Hi, Jennifer. Welcome from Oregon. We are all patrons. You keep saying that every week, but that's not true. The people who watch this show, when I make it public, are not patrons, and they don't have to be. I keep telling you that, but you're very stubborn. All my shows do go. All my live shows do go public. 100% of my shows are public. I have no hidden shows. Anyway, that's the cat thing. And then some of you asked about the puppy. The puppy is now looks like this. That is a Cane Corso, and he's up to 80 pounds, and it's not like he's still a puppy, and so he's really big, and but very sweet so far, very sweet. And one more thing, I mentioned to you last week that my daughter had a sadistic streak in her, which she liked to do things that were jokes, shall we say. So I told you about a Halloween joke she played on a friend, and I found he put it back up on her Facebook page because Halloween's coming up again. He said this: "Sigh, I'm an adult, full grown, tax-paying 401k with a wife, kids, dogs, and a mortgage. And I come home from work to find a 14-foot jack skeleton in my front yard." And you can see the house behind the skeleton here. It wasn't spontaneous. This was handmade. This took planning. You're committed when you do something like this. And in a way, you got to respect the commitment. My point is, these are our friends. This is what they do for fun. Never a dull day in our household. Payback is coming. And then he addressed that to my daughter. So I'm not sure what she's going to do to him this year, but she might do something else. He should not. No, I don't have a puppy. It's my daughter's puppy. It lives next door. I don't have any dogs in the house. There's 4 dogs next door: 2 German Shepherds, a Cane Corso, and a Cockapoo. They like dogs. I visit dogs. I feed the dogs. I pet the dogs. They don't live in my house. So that's not a puppy. It's a monster. It's huge. It's so puppy-like, but he's like, you know. So he's kind of neat. So I do not have a puppy. I leave that to them. So anyway, let's see. What do I want to talk about first? I will talk about. What the hell is that? Oh, let's go here first. All right. I might do a whole video on this. And by a whole video, I do mean a short video. But I want to bring this up because people keep asking me about it, and you're my friend. So I'm going to talk about the Christian Brueckner news that came out, and whether he's still a suspect in the Madeline McCann case. All right. Unbelievable. So anyway, what has happened? Christian Brueckner, if you don't know, you're way behind on everything. If you don't know anything about the Madeline McCann case, do go to my audio book, Profile the Disappearance of Madeline McCann. It is a 2-hour audio, which I read. It's free on YouTube. So you don't have to pay the whole $2.99. You have to pay when you buy the ebook, which you can get any place but Amazon, because Amazon has pulled the book because Jerry McCann and Kate McCann filed a lawsuit, or had they didn't file a lawsuit. They had their Carter Ruck, their libel lawyers, go after Amazon, and Amazon's like, yeah, we're just gonna dump it. So, but it's still available everywhere but Amazon, and now on YouTube. So, Madeline McCann, the number 1 suspect in the world for in the Madeline McCann case, for anyone who doesn't know anything about the facts of Madeline McCann, is Christian Brueckner. Yes, Christian Brueckner. There he is. Yep, there he is. And there's Madeline. And he is in prison in Germany. Now, this is what happened. The convicted pedophile, because this is from the Sun, which I, by the way, libeled me, and I had to get them to write a retraction. So it's not my favorite media outlet. Not that many are. But anyway, the convicted pedophile, 47 years old, was sensationally cleared of a string of unrelated rape claims by a German court yesterday and will finish his current 7-year sentence on September 17th of next year. Prosecutors launched an immediate appeal, claiming judges in the case were biased. Biased in what way, I ask you? I don't know how they would be biased. The guy's a scumbag. Let me use this P word, the psychopath. He's a psychopathic predator. How many people he has raped, whether they were children or adults, all of that's questionable. The judges do not like this guy. They have no reason to like this guy. It's not like one of these things where he's like, oh, you know, I feel bad for that guy. I really want to let him out. No. The guy is a creepo. So the judges aren't going to base their determinations on anything but some kind of issue with the facts. All right. So they just thought there wasn't proper evidence. There were some witness statements of the people who were attacked, and their witness statements were there was no forensic evidence. There's no physical evidence. They gave a description, and sometimes the description was something like he was in all black. He used his left hand when he turns out to be right-handed. He had a German accent. That's somebody's opinion. You know, it could be true, but it could well be him. But it was so weak, even though it may well be him. They decided to say, hey, you know, there's just not enough here. So that's that. And considering what I've seen with the Madeline McCann case and the attempt to pin the Christian Walters, he's the guy that keeps trying to he's been saying for years that Christian Brueckner kidnapped and murdered Madeline McCann, and yet he's come up with zero evidence. So he's not exactly somebody I would trust. So anyway, the investigators probing Madeline's 2007 disappearance from a Portuguese holiday apartment vowed to charge Brueckner before his release date. After securing a number of secret witnesses. What secret witnesses do we have now? So far, we've got a couple guys who used to know him, who talk crap. And then we got a guy who's in prison, a jail snitch, who said, oh, he said this to me. So far, all of them have been questionable as any kind of proof of anything. And on top of that, after all the digging up of land at Brueckner's location and out in Portugal, and they got nothing. They literally have nothing. So lead prosecutor says, we hope we'll get an appeal decision from the Supreme Court because they want to keep him in jail. But if that's not decided by next September, we will try to get an arrest warrant for Maddie based on what Walters, I do not know. That will be our only chance to keep him behind bars. Okay. I'm going to say nothing much is going to happen there, but all right. So I'm going back here a little bit for comment. Well, I don't know what the rules are, but do I mind him being in prison? No, but as usual, we have to follow the rule of law, not emotions or not guesswork. First of all, he did not kill Madeline McCann because Madeline McCann died in the apartment, according to evidence. And there's zero evidence of an abduction. There's zero evidence Brueckner has anything to do with Madeline McCann. Could he have been the type to abduct a young girl and rape her and murder her? I wouldn't put it past him, but there's no proof. So you have to take emotions out of things, whether you like the McCanns, you don't like the McCanns. Who would like Brueckner? I don't know. Okay. That has nothing to do with anything. Everything has to do with evidence. And apparently, even according to the court, in the crimes that he had been charged with and went to court for, they said that evidence was too weak to actually find him guilty of anything, which is interesting because I'm not saying he didn't do it, but you can't go to court with such weak evidence that the defense can just, obviously it didn't even need to do that, destroy it. So he will probably be out and rolling around, and I don't know how they're going to keep him there because there's zero evidence to keep him there. If they're going to charge him with, oh, wait a minute, let me think. They charge him with the other crimes because the witnesses in those crimes, who were actually victims, claimed it was him or thought it was him, described something that could have been him. In the Madeline McCann case, they don't have any witnesses outside of a bunch of other psychopaths. Like you can trust them. And again, zero physical evidence, zero DNA, zero anything. So if they couldn't keep him in jail for these crimes and convict him of these crimes, I'm going to say there's nothing that's going to work for the Madeline McCann case. Although it can still be used as a tool to exonerate the McCanns. So that's very possible. This is true. The public assessment of Madeline is even worse than JonBenet. And I will tell you something. If you want to make money as a YouTuber, you do 50 shows on Madeline McCann, you do 50 shows on JonBenet. Both of those will make you a mint. I don't do that. So, I'm not on the gravy train there. But yes, they are obsessed. And I want to point out something I thought was very interesting. A deception detective said this during one of his videos. And I really like this one statement he made. He said the problem with not the public, but with certain people who are obsessed with a crime, that they get tunnel vision. And on top of that, they go down into rabbit holes because of that. And I believe this was during the video he did with Bernt Stellander on his book, Sudden Impulse. I felt that Bernt did that. He started living in Portugal. He became fascinated with the case, obsessed with the case, not as a professional, but as a regular person. Although he says he has some professional experience, but certainly not in profiling. But he studied a lot of it, so I'll give him credit on that. And then what he did was he went down a rabbit hole that is not supported by evidence or logical. And I point that out in my book review of his case, and also if you want, just listen to the audiobook, because he became obsessed. And on top of becoming obsessed about the fact that, everybody was involved, Madeline McCann didn't die on May 3rd, she died on May 2nd, and he got every single one of the Tapas people to parade around all day long, pretending Madeline was alive, and going to the Tapas night and laughing and joking as if she were alive. And he got the nanny who was supposedly with Madeline the whole day. He got this girl he hardly knew, as a college-age girl, to lie to the police that she was with Maddie all day long. And then a couple people at the church, he got them to lie too. I mean, that's a lot of people involved. Way too many moving parts. And then he discounted the Smith sighting, because the Smith sighting that the McCanns don't want to acknowledge would be Jerry walking along with a dead child on May 3rd. But he became obsessed. So he looks and looks and looks and looks for a bigger and bigger conspiracy. And on top of that, and I want to point this out because I thought this was amazing. There was when I did my book review, one person just gave a comment on the YouTube channel. And I was like, dang, I didn't say that. So I have to give him credit. This is why I talk about sometimes it's useful to have more than one person looking at something, because sometimes you're so focused on certain things, you just don't say the other. This person pointed out this. Bernt Stellander said he had this whole video camera system set up. And he said the McCanns or their friends or whatever had come to the location where he thinks Madeline was buried down the hill. And he was videotaping it, and he couldn't give the information out yet. But he was doing that, and he was hoping that he was going to catch the McCanns. Now, I said, first of all, there's no proof that the McCanns or their friends ever got near there, because he's not releasing the video. The police have not jumped on it. And my thought was that the chances of the McCanns returning to the exact place where they buried their child so they could be noted there is stupid. They're not that dumb. And this person said the thing I didn't say. This person said, if he's doing this to catch the McCanns, why would he say all of this out in public? Because now the McCanns will never come to Portugal again. Neither will their friends. They'll never go to that spot because he's just outed himself and where the cameras are. I'm like, duh. That's absolutely true. So why did he do that then? Why did he out himself? So he stopped the very point of what he was trying to do. I'll tell you why. Because he's trying to sell a book, because he's trying to sell a theory. And at that point in time, that's more important to him, actually. And I don't believe he has any video of anybody. So he can say whatever he wants because that sells books and sells his theory. Now, I will say this too. I think he is more obsessed with the case and selling his theory than he is in selling books. At least I think so. I think he believes what he believes. I think he's gone down that rabbit hole so far that he's unable to see anything else. And he's been that way for years because we had discussions over time where he was angry with me for not going along with his theory. So I don't really necessarily think he's out for the money. I don't. I think he wanted to sell his book because he wants people to read his theory. And I think this whole thing about the videotape stuff, I think he thought that added that, he can say, I've been doing this and they've been coming out and that's where the body's buried. But like that person said, he just blew that secret project, didn't he? So they're never going to come there. So when he says, I'm waiting for them to come back, I'm going to try to catch them, he's just blown that. That will never happen. But there's an advantage to it never happening. Eventually he can just say, I shouldn't have said that, and therefore they didn't come back. But that's what happens when you go down the rabbit hole. No. Actually, Bernt sent me his book because at the time it was not on Amazon, and he wanted me to profile it or give a book review, which is interesting to me because we had it kind of out early on, and then after I did the thing where I'm like, who is this guy dressed in a mask and the stupid publicity stunt he did? He said, you know who I am? I'm like, actually, I don't. And then he told me who he was, and I looked back in emails from years ago and found him. I'm like, oh, that's you. We didn't end on a good note back then, but okay, dude, now you're coming forward. Well, we can talk. And we did. And he said, I'll send you my book because I have the hard copy of it, not the email. I mean, the download version, which is $17, which is still expensive, but it's a huge book. But I don't know what the huge book actually costs if you actually have to buy it and have it sent. But I told him at that moment, I said, if you really want people to read your book, you should get it on Amazon. They're not going to probably come after you the way they did me. Put it on Amazon so people can read it if you actually want people to read it. I told them that, even though I didn't necessarily think I agreed with this book. Then I got his book and I reviewed it. I read it, I reviewed it, and I haven't heard from him since. So, but there are 40, I think it's about 43 or 45 reviews on Amazon at this point. Only about 10 of them have any words, so the rest of them are just, Amazon changed the rules. They used to have where you reviewed a book, you had to write something. Now they just let you click on something and say whether you liked it, give it a rating. Rating is not reviews, and it's very annoying. So he's had enough number of people buy the $17 book and read it. Some people liked it and some people didn't. So I think, as I said when it came out, I said it's going to last a very short period of time, and then it's just going to kind of all vanish. Why? Because the book is one person's opinion. He's not a professional. It's very, very long. He should have edited the crap out of that book. He has some good stuff in it, but a lot of it I think is rabbit hole stuff and unsupported by evidence and ludicrous. But after people get excited about it, the time will go on, and I think he's going to be disappointed that he's not getting the response in the long run that he wishes. I, on the other hand, am also not getting a great response over the years, but I already knew that was going to be the case, so I can handle it. Oh, hello, cat. My cat is here. Hello, kitty. I hear this noise next to me, so I knew the cat has arrived. So he's down there eating now. I wonder if he'll ever let me touch him, but I'm not too sure of that. So here he is. He is now sitting down there and eating on the carpet. So, oh, the cat has arrived. I have to make sure I put the food out by 7 p.m. because he has a tendency to come in between 7 o'clock on. He never comes before 7 dark. He only comes after dark. And then what I do is, if I'm in my room, I keep the door open, and then he comes in and eats, and then I give him his treats, and then he leaves. Sometimes he'll come back in the night, and I put the leftover food outside of my bedroom, and he comes and eats that. But if he comes early and I'm not in my room yet, I shut the door to my room, put the main food out, and then his treats, which are these, I put out. I keep in my room, and the stuff I put on my hand and feed him from my hand. I keep that for later. And sometimes I'll come back like at 11 or 12 at night, 1 o'clock in the morning, and walk into the room and say, "Where are the treats?" So, yeah. The chat needs to be renamed Pat's Cat Watch. Yes, his name is Mackerel, or Mac for short. Thank you. Pat's book was very easy to read and follow. His was difficult because he had some very good points in it. So, I don't discount everything he said, but then he gets a little, he's not a profiler and he's not a detective. So one of the problems that happens is people go down the rabbit holes because they don't understand how people behave. And people don't behave the way he said. You cannot it's Jerry McCann is not stupid enough to involve a dozen people in trying to keep this lie going. That would be stupid. And he's certainly not going to trust I forgot how old she was, 18, 20-year-old nanny that he hardly knows, a kid. And you're going to say, okay, just lie to the police for us because our kid is dead. And that's why she's not here today. So what young woman is going to say, okay, sure, not a problem. When the police show up, she goes, "Oh yeah, that child was with me all day." How much money would he have to offer, and how? It's just nonsense. He's not going to take the chance, and so he's going to do things as quickly and as simply as he can because that's the way people actually behave. I'm just checking out hearing the crunching next to me. Let's see. I'm not invested in the McCanns enough to pay. Yeah, $17 is a little bit expensive. I will say this, Julia. Yes, some of the reviews aren't positive, and some are very positive. Believe me, if you look at any of my books, some of them aren't very nice either. I mean, I get trashed sometimes because somebody doesn't like me because I'm not an FBI profiler. Because whatever, just like YouTube. I mean, I get a massive amount of hate stuff. That's the way it goes. So. Yeah, you can always, by the way, you can always ask for a refund if it's early enough. If you get a book and you're like, this sucks, and it's like within a couple hours, just ask for a refund. They will refund it. So that is true. You can do that. Yeah, there's a lot of, the rabbit holes are not usually supported by evidence, and that's because there's some lack of evidence that is absolute. Rabbit holes open up for people who want to make money, and that's what they do. They take advantage. Oh, can we get that? Mac, I'm too late. I was going to give him some. I was going to try to feed him because he did eat from my hand, but he ran off. He'll be back later. Which book are we talking about? Sudden Impulse. That's Bernt's book. My book is the one that you can read. You can hear for free. I'm sorry. Wait a minute. Hold on. Yeah, that Sudden Impulse is his book for $17. Mine is cheap. So mine is $2.99 everywhere but Amazon if you like to read. And if you want to just hear it, you can hear it on Amazon. All right, let's move along. I want to talk about this case. This was a case. Oh, wait a minute. Before I forget, because I forgot the last 2 weeks, I was asked, Leah asked me this, and I don't think Leah's here tonight. Are you here, Leah? If I thought that Richard Allen of the Delphi suspect, had killed previously. And, this man is not a youngster. He already has a grown daughter and apparently has a clean criminal record. And he works in town. And suddenly he is a person who has decided to pull out a gun and tell two young women to go, teenagers, no, not young women, they're teenagers, to, down the hill, is what he said, down the hill, took them down the hill to a location where he stabbed them to death. And a lot of people think because it seems like he popped out of nowhere, that he's not really the guy who did it. They still believe there's better suspects. That could be the creepy guy who was online with one of the girls. It could be the property that the girls were found on, because that guy was kind of creepy too, but he's dead now. And they think the police railroaded him, although he was at the location at the time, and there's some physical evidence that seems to match the crime, that they found at his home, and he confessed to his wife and a bunch of other people over and over again. So, do I think he did it? Well, I want to see the final evidence when it goes to trial. I absolutely do not know all the evidence. I want to hear the confessions. I want to see the evidence. But is it reasonable that they charged him? It was very reasonable. Now, here's the thing. There's two things I want to bring up about this. One is that if they wanted to railroad somebody, there were better people to railroad. So if you're going to be corrupt and you want to close the case down, railroad somebody everybody knows is a scumbag. Railroad, the creepy guy was online with the girls. Was an incel guy. He had contact with them. Nobody liked him. Nobody liked his dad. He could go after his dad too. Nobody liked them. You could easily arrest them and charge them. Everybody go, hooray. And the dead guy, is it Ron? He kind of came across creepy too. Say he did it. They can close the case down saying, yeah, he died, and so we can't, charge him, but he's dead. But to go after a guy who doesn't have a criminal record, who is a father, somebody, worked in town, to do that, they have to be pretty sure they got the right guy, because that doesn't make sense as a person you would want to target just to railroad. So that's the first part. And then the question comes down to, Angie says, I live super close to Delphi. If you haven't seen the photo of him and his wife in the restaurant or bar with a sketch on the wall behind him, yeah, it is creepy because it looks just like him. But hey, how do I feel about the confessions? I don't know enough about the confessions. I don't know were they ever put. I don't know if the video has ever, the audio has ever been put out. Did I miss something? Because I would like to hear them before I have any clue on that. But here's the thing: people get stuck on, which is understandable. Does a guy his age suddenly pop out of the woodwork and decide to murder two young teens? Wouldn't he have had to done this kind of thing before? And that is a very reasonable thing to think. It is extraordinarily unusual that somebody would get to mid-age without having committed any kind of sexual homicides or rapes or some kind of creepy crap. That should be my new word, creepy crap. Prior to that, what it seems like a major crime of killing two at one time in such a horrific way. Just the fact he looks just like the guy. That's what. That's a good question too, Pam. Could a sane guy go wackadoo in prison and confess? That's what the defense will tell you. Yes, but I don't know what he said exactly. Here, by the way, Michaela says you would have to be pretty stupid if Logan killed the girls to leave the body on his property so close to where they went missing. Yes and no, because some certain psychopaths, they will simply have an opportunity and do it anyway. So some people do confess wrongly, and I have a number of cases where I believe the person confessed and were not guilty. I have stood up for, what's the kid in New York? I always forget. Pats. Eaton Pats. They have convicted a guy in that crime, and I don't think he did it. And I do, if you look at my video on that, I will say I think he confessed. In spite of the fact he confessed, I do not think he is the killer. People will confess wrongly. So, and even go to prison for it, for whatever reasons. Either they're not bright, or they're just seeking attention, or they're confused, or whatever the heck the problem is. It does happen. But let's take a look at this fellow. Mid-age, I'd say there's a lot of stuff pointing to him, and I think that the police would find a better fall guy than him. So could he have not committed any crimes until he was mid-age? I find that a little hard to believe, but here's one of the problems. I don't know what he's been doing for the last 20 years. There have been serial killers. There have been serial rapists who have committed crimes over a couple decades and never been caught. I don't know where he's been. I don't know whether he used to like drive out of town and maybe find somebody, kill somebody out of town, and they have no idea it was him. Is that possible? Yes. I don't know. I'm assuming they're searching to see whether he's committed other crimes, but I haven't heard anything about that. So it's possible he's committed crimes and gotten away with them. Not unusual. Other possibility is, and I'll call this an anomaly, that he had fantasies which he finally came to fruition on that day. He just suddenly decided this was the moment of his life. He was, he'd been married 20 years. His daughter was grown up. He was bored, and he had this opportunity, and it was a fantasy he's been had in his head forever. Is it possible? You have to be careful with anomalies. Generally speaking, you're going to have this group over here, which if he committed the crime, he's probably got other crimes prior, which haven't been discovered. But you can't ever say there's no such thing as an anomaly, because there are, and you go, what the hell? That's why you have to keep your mind open on anything. And when I say mind open, I don't mean aliens, and I don't mean stupid rabbit holes. I just mean that sometimes there are peculiar things, and you go, who would have thought? Well, they'll always say that, even if they're called to say it was her fault. Possibly, yes. And this is one of these scary things that people seem to refuse to acknowledge. Porn I always point this out. Porn used to be pretty mild in comparison to what you have out there today. So you go to the edge of town, you pay your $20 for your little shiny porn thing, and you come home, and maybe it might be more than Playboy or a Penthouse, but it might be just regular sex. Now, there were things you could buy in those stores which are also more than regular sex. But nowadays, there is so much violent porn. People do not understand that. There's a massive amount of sadistic porn, fake rape porn. I mean, when I say fake, I mean that these are produced things. And people say, oh, yeah, but there's real rape porn. Probably maybe on the dark web, yes. But when you go to the regular porn channels, which are tons of them, by the way, and very, very available, and not even for money anymore, there is almost all, I would say, there's a huge portion of it, not all of it, huge portion, which is not romantic, shall we say. It's not soft porn. It's not even just hot sex. It's women being humiliated, women being abused, women crying out in pain, women being tied up, women being just a bunch of horrific stuff out there. And if you're a person with a decent mind, you're probably not going to run into that stuff. But if that guy was into that stuff, he will find it, and he will then obsess on it. And the more and more and more you bring it into your head, the more you want to do it. And people always say, oh, it doesn't affect you that way. That's what advertising's about. They keep telling you got to buy this car, you got to buy these shoes. Why do you think they spend so much money on advertising? Because it works. And so when you go if you start looking, let's say I'm interested in traveling. Now you start watching all the travel channels. You become obsessed with the travel channels. And eventually you want to travel for real. You don't keep wanting to watch the channels. If you got a chance, you want to really do it yourself. And that's what happens with certain kinds of pornography, that people then want to do what is they are seeing and what they find titillating. And the same thing is true for all the young teenagers who are getting involved in gore and murder, that they eventually want to go out and see what it's like to kill somebody. It works. So could he have been doing that? Possible. Absolutely possible. So, yeah, that is very true. Think of all the kills that got away for decades and were considered upstanding men in the communities. BTK, Bundy, yeah. This is very true. I mean, a lot of times they don't get caught for 20 years. And up until then, the more sadistic versions, usually the what I call the fast serial killers, who just jump out of the bushes, less sadistic. They're usually kind of loser guys, and more people don't think much of them. But the people that are usually highly sadistic and very meticulous, they often have, like Rex Harrison has a family and kids and was an architect, but very sadistic. And so, and Dennis Rader, who I do not think is the original BTK, check that out, but I do think is a later serial killer who was a copycat. He had a family and children and had a job in town, had a house. He was very sadistic. So yeah, there's a ton of them. You want me to be a redhead? No, I just do the cheap $10 treatment at home. When I have the income of Nancy Grace, I'll go back to having a makeup artist and hair person and get all the fancy stuff again. It's too much work right now, and I'll make enough. Anyway, oh, well, that's interesting. Bluebell says, one job I never want is a Google moderator. They remove horrible content. Yeah, many don't last 6 months and have PTSD. Interesting you say that. My daughter, who is a detective in county I live in, and is on her 19th and a half year, she worked in child abuse, then sex crimes, then homicide. Now she's in domestic. Child abuse was the hardest thing she ever did. And that gave her, she saw things she should never, ever see. That really got to her. By the time she got to homicide, she's like, whatever. Most of the guys are drug dealers anyway. So, that was an easier job than child abuse, which is just horrific. Anyway, so, all right, let me go on now. All right. We'll go to the one I was about to do. That is this. This is a case which I talked about the other week, but there's a new piece of information about this case, which I just thought was interesting. Let me find it. Hold on. Seriously. One more minute. Oh, there we go. All right, this woman on the left, and you see her with a phone, and there's her teenage daughter. Don't they look happy? They do. Judge denies bond for Maryland mother accused of shooting her 13-year-old daughter. Yes, you heard me right. And I told you that the week that she saw her 13-year-old daughter. But there's more information on it now. She lives, by the way, about 10 minutes from me. Taleka Brown, also, not a relative. Could be a relative, but she's not. Thank God. 32 years old, was charged this week with attempted first-degree murder for allegedly shooting her 13-year-old daughter inside their Seat Pleasant home after a verbal argument turned physical. Because, when your teenager pisses you off, you pull out a gun and shoot her, as we all do. According to the police, authorities arrived at the home just before 5 p.m. to find Brown's daughter shot in the neck. There were also fragments found in her shoulder and abdomen, according to the charging documents. Now, Brown's attorney argued in court that she should be released from jail and ordered to home detention because a 13-year-old was able to stay with her father. Oh, and they also cited her lack of violent criminal history. Her record speaks for itself. No, it doesn't. She speaks for herself. She shot her kid. The assistant state's attorney, Ashley Sowles, said that she left a voicemail to her daughter's father from jail earlier in the day. In the voicemail, she allegedly referred to the attempted first-degree murder charge and stated, "Come on, that's not me," except that it was you. You shot your daughter. Sowles also said she also told the father that if the daughter did not make a statement or appear in court, this is all recorded, this would go away. In the charging document obtained by Fox 5, authorities said Brown initially told her daughter to tell the police she was shot after someone broke into their home. And then there was also things she supposedly, say a homeless person shot her. According to Sowles, the child's father told prosecutors the doctors were initially concerned about possible paralysis. However, it appears that's no longer the case. Sowles added that Brown never asked about how her daughter was doing, despite information from the child's father that she was in screeching pain. Yeah. Okay. Just hard to believe. Hard to believe that a woman who would shoot her 13-year-old daughter thinks it wasn't really her. I mean, who does that? And I'll tell you who does that, a person who is willing to do that. I've often pointed this out as one of the exercises I've ever had, is that if you came home and found your significant other in bed with your best friend, would you shoot him? And most of the people say, of course not. And I ask them, what would you do? And most of them say, I would yell, I might throw things, shriek, but maybe maybe go in and start punching, you know what I mean? Just because you're mad. But if somebody says, if I have found my wife in bed with somebody, I'd kill them. Pay attention to that person, because they've already ideated that in their head. This woman, I'm going to say, has had an ideation of shooting people who do not agree with her. And this time it was her daughter. Unbelievable. So, fascinating. Okay. Now this one, somebody asked me about this one, so I'll do this one quickly. This is Rakesh Kamel, allegedly murdered his wife and daughter before killing himself. And I think I was asked about this because it was unusual in the fact that, first of all, he is Indian. He was born in India, living in the United States. And what was kind of interesting about it is that he's rich as crap. And comes from, it's just not the kind of guy you would think would be involved in something like this. Let me find it. Here we go. But I'm going to tell you why I think it happened. Okay, deaths of Indian origin couple and the daughter as well in Massachusetts. They were living in Massachusetts, ruled a murder suicide. Rakesh Kamal, his wife Tina Kamal, and their daughter Ariana Kamal were found dead at the home in Dover, Massachusetts. Now, what happened to them? This is what I think happened to him. So listen to, it's clear that he killed his wife and daughter and then killed himself. Okay. Now listen to his situation. Okay. The family's sprawling mansion, estimated to be worth $5.45 million, went into foreclosure a year ago and was sold for $3 million, according to a report. The Kamals purchased the 19,000 square foot estate, Jesus, that's huge, which boasts 11 bedrooms and 14 bathrooms for $4 million in 2019. I will say this. When Americans buy massive houses, I don't understand why, because they rarely have anybody but their immediate family there. When Indians buy a massive house, it's because half their relatives come and stay. So there is more of a reason for having more bedrooms if you're Indian. The slain family members were the only ones living in the mansion at the time. It's one of the richest areas in the state, was a nice neighborhood and a safe community. Tina and her husband, who also went by Rick, had previously run a now defunct education systems company called EduNova. The couple appeared to have faced financial problems in recent years. The company was launched in 2016, but was dissolved in 2021. She was the chief operating officer of the company. She was an alum of Harvard University and Delhi University in India. Husband was an alumnus of Boston University and MIT Sloan School of Management at Stanford. So these were highly educated people, ran a company that gave them the ability to own a very, very large, expensive home. But they filed for bankruptcy. Tina filed for Chapter 13 bankruptcy in September 2022. And between $1 million and $10 million in liabilities. She also was on the board of directors for the American Red Cross. Meanwhile, the poor daughter was a student at Midbury College, a $800,000 a year private liberal arts school in Vermont, where she was studying neuroscience. So why do you think this happened? And I'm going to tell you what midlife mass murder is. When you have a younger person a family annihilation. It's family annihilation. When you have a younger person who commits a family annihilation, it's usually because they're freaking losers. Or if they're not freaking losers, they make sure they only kill the wife and kids so they can go off with the stripper, right? But midlife family annihilation usually is a guy who feels like his life is crashing around him. Usually it's because of finances. He no longer is that guy. He feels like a complete loser. Not that he is necessarily a loser because he's achieved all of this, but now he can't take the hit. And he doesn't want to go down and have people look at him and his wife look at him and his daughter look at him in such a way, oh, look at this, now we have to go live in a regular house. His ego gets crushed. And in getting his ego crushed, he wants to commit suicide, but he doesn't want to leave behind people who can talk about him. And that's why you have the midlife, that kind of thing happening. What? I don't know. Really? I did not find that anyplace. Their degrees were bogus. Were they? I did not see anything, any place that said that. That's interesting. Yeah, that would be interesting if they were. I'll have to look that up. I've never, loss of face, public dishonor, yeah, and you don't have to be around. Neither does anything. Shame is an issue, but it's not an Indian thing. It's an across the world kind of thing. But I don't know anything about this. I did not see that any place. So. Again, media is not exactly dependable, but if on top of it somebody lied or both of them lied, that would be interesting. Then you have even more of a reason where you got people who are living a lie, and at a certain point they're getting found out and they're crashing and burning and aren't happy about it. So I'll have to look that up. I'll come back next week and see if that's true. Delhi University, I know Delhi University, it's in Delhi. And I was alumnus of Boston University. And supposedly they're even have a higher level, which is not unusual for Indians coming to the United States, that they do very well educationally. So I never even really questioned that, but maybe you're right. All right, I want to go on to this interesting story. All right. This one just cracked me up. Oh my God, here we are again. This story came out because it's a love story. Oh my God, it's such a love story. I'm talking like the nanny. It's such a love story. Remember the nanny? And I don't know that I can actually do her voice, but let me try to find it now. Hold on a second. Oh, here we go. And this comes out in the New York Times because, the New York Times is supposed to be a reputable. I don't like the New York Times, but anyway, because I found they've gone downhill too. The New York Times, Washington Post, a lot of these, they've stopped being the kind of media they were in making sure they presented facts. I guess they're stuck on the same problem everybody else is, trying to pump out the crap. He was open to love, but kept his job a secret. Woo! Do you know what job it is? Does anybody recognize the guy? And do you know what his job is? Just out of curiosity, see if you do. It's a hand bidet. It is a hand bidet. I'm totally being vulgar, just because it's funny. Yeah, I think that's sad. I think it's across the board, and it's across the board on television media. It's across the board. I don't want to get into all that because people get political on me, but it is true. I mean, it's a sad thing because I remember growing up reading the Washington Post And I always got the Washington Post. It was much more fact-based once upon a time. But if anybody, does anybody know who this wonderful couple is and who that wonderful guy is? He's open to love, but he's kept his job a secret. I will say this: if you keep your job a secret, no, neither of them were strippers or escorts. No, but hey, no, he's a famous medium. He's a celebrity medium known as Jonathan Mark. He was matched with Jessica Rega on a dating app, and it took months before he shared what he did for a living. Like most people looking for love, Jonathan Mark Filberto wanted to find someone who loved him for what he was rather than what he did or who he knew. So he's keeping it on the down low, like, I'm a prince, but I'm not going to let you know. So I want you to love me for me. That's his claim anyway. That's why he wanted to do it. I'm going to say he's a con artist, so he was conning her from the beginning. So he excluded his unusual job from his Bumble profile, and he met her, and he kept his true identity secret because he was a psychic, well known as a psychic medium. In addition to working with clients, some of whom were a celebrity, he collaborates with law enforcement on difficult cases. Now, just to let you know, they're still together. They got married, and now they're all happy now. Okay. Oh, a happy medium. But surely as a medium, he knew who loved him for who he was. You think so? It's the usual problem that people who are psychic seem to not be able to do the lottery or actually come up with a real name, all these kind of things. It's all this vague stuff. So anyway, I checked this dude out. I just thought it was because he worked for law enforcement. And many people ask me, how often does law enforcement work with psychics? And I'm going to tell you this, very, very rarely. And the few that do are usually pushed into it by like the media, like on a cold case is so cold. People say, why don't you at least try a psychic? And some of them have actually done that. Not that any of them have ever proven to be useful, but it's fairly rare. But the one reason they will take a psychic over a criminal profiler like me is because as a criminal profiler, I'm going to say I need to see the evidence. Because I can't analyze anything without the evidence, and they don't want me to interfere with their case or see what they have, so they prefer it's their case. They don't want outsiders. But a psychic, okay, fine. You just tell us over the phone, who do you think did it? Where do you think the body is? I mean, so if they're being pushed, maybe a couple of them will just go ahead just for the sake of it. Because I think, well, you never know. Maybe I'm wrong. But listen to what this guy says. So anyway, here he is. He's on this show, he's on this show called The Fighter and the Kid, and it was interesting because when he came on this show, he's very likable, by the way. He's a handsome fellow, likable, speaks well, funny. He's pleasant. I'd have a nice time at a party with him. But the guys, he was not on. Normally, when you see psychics and they have the psychic channel, every single comment is, "Oh my God, to the show! Oh my God, they did it!" But on this case, a whole bunch of people are like, what the hell? Why are these guys even bothering with him? It says on the right here, if you know Brian even a little, he doesn't believe any of this shit for a second. Colin is being a good sport, not calling this absolute bullshitter out. It's funny watching Brendan get worked. So they're not buying it. But some people are, like Gabby Petito's mother. Here we are. Brian Laundrie attempts to apologize to Gabby Petito through psychic. God, this is on E! News. Got 2 million subscribers. Only 4,000 views came up on this one. But this doofus is convincing her that he's trying to apologize. Get out of here. Jesus God. Somebody said this. Holy snake oil salesman, Batman. That made me laugh. And then they said this. Name one credible source from the FBI that consulted Jonathan Mark. I bet you cannot. All right. He's saying that, but let's look at more at his law enforcement stuff. Jonathan Mark, who was one of the world's most sought-after mediums, according to himself, he initially pursued a career as a police officer and now uses his abilities not only for celebrity and personal readings, but to work with law enforcement agencies like the NYPD and the FBI to help solve true crime cases, most of which are cold. He initially pursued a career as a police officer. What, he couldn't pass the psych test? That's what I think. Anyway, this is what else he says. They asked him this question. Did it take a lot of convincing to get law enforcement to trust you? Yeah. So it started where I started solving these cases for local law enforcement. Solving them. He solved them. Solved them. Not just helped them, but solved them. And then some involved with the FBI and stuff. When the person says and stuff, you can believe that there's not, that stuff is bullcrap, because why would you say and stuff? And as I continued to help them, that's when they started to trust me more. But then it kind of expanded to other police forces from out of state, from PIs that are involved, detectives. They've heard about me through mutual friends, through another police force. So yeah, it was like a lot of me having to prove my worth, which I definitely should have. He needed to prove his worth. Well, I guess he should have, but I don't think he did. And I feel like that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to prove my worth to them. Somehow he's got all these connections, and everybody tells another person. Do you know, when I did pro bono criminal profiling around the country, I came in to work with the police. I gave them my profile, and that was that. They didn't go and shout around the country, oh, bring criminal profiler Pat Brown in. Now, maybe they thought I sucked. I don't know. A lot of times I know they didn't. They liked me. They thought my profile was good, but they wanted to keep it on the down low. So do you think they're going to be chatting up all over the place about this brilliant guy who's psychic and solving all their cases? Now, here's something. This was in that in that particular video. He says this. He was asked, so you've done a lot of high-profile cases, reaching out. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. You've helped a lot of these high-profile cases. And then let me go down a little bit further. Oh, here we go. 2014. You know, it's hard to read these. These are the transcripts of crap. We were doing something. My manager. Okay. So he's working with a manager. I don't know who the manager is. And we were doing something. And I have about over 1,000 cases from different law enforcement. 1,000 cases. We've got a lot of work to do. Yeah, a lot. And I've been trying, and it's tough, because when I take on a case, it's not just like a 1, 2, 3 thing. People think like it's like not just one reading and you're done. No. It can take me up to like 5 years. And all this time I got to do this. 1,000 cases. Get out of here. That is the biggest, fattest, hugest lie ever. There's no way in God's earth that 1,000 police departments want him in on the case. And one of the things he talks about is he goes on the Long Island serial killer and says they brought him in because a detective's wife said, you ought to call that guy. So he called the guy and gave him like, okay, I'll give you a few minutes. What do you think? And he came up with, it's a guy with a name that starts with R, Rex, right? But of course, R is one of the most common names. Robert, Reginald, all that. J and R are the most common male names. So a lot of times they'll do that. Of course, we always ask, well, if you can come up with R, why can't the hell you come up with Rex? Why would your connection to what the spirit world not be able to come up with 3 letters? Only one. Because you're a fraud, you're a con artist. And I challenge this guy to send me, I might do a whole separate video on this because it's annoying. Send me a list of all the departments that actually hired you. Or he says he does it for free. He's doing it pro bono. Okay, pro bono, I don't mind. I did pro bono work too. So he wants to help families. That's lovely. But really what he wants to do is promote himself so that other people will pay him a crap load of money to solve probably families who can't get the police have not solved the case. They'll pay this guy. And it's amazing how much they will pay a psychic. It's sad. And people, of course, reaching their dead relatives and blah, blah, blah. So he's one of the latest scam artists that's out there. But I would like to have a list of those 1,000 departments. Get out of here. That's nonsense if I've ever heard nonsense. Good luck, wifey. Good looking guy, friendly, fun. And maybe he does make a lot of money and you could care less that he cons people. But I'm going to say he lied to you too. So just keep that in mind. They're paying him for peace of mind. Yeah, a lot of people do. They want some peace of mind. So, and one of the things that all these psychics do is always tell the person that their loved one is looking down on them, that their loved one is happy, that they don't go, they go, how is my loved one? Oh, they're in hell. Damn, they are suffering every day of their eternal life. They don't tell them that crap. They always tell them something good, like everyone is even if your loved one hasn't done good things in life, and even though but now, so it's such nonsense. But yes, it gives them peace of mind, and they're willing to pay for a lie. So they prefer a medium. A serious profile is more of a threat, especially if they made an obvious mistake. Yes, when you bring in an outside profiler and they determine you've erred in handling the investigation, they don't want that information going out. They will usually pick an FBI profiler way over an independent profiler because FBI's got to keep their back. So they're pretty sure the FBI is not going to rat them out. And most of the time, the FBI is not helping in any great way. I don't approve of FBI profiling methodology anyway, but they're not going to say anything. And a lot of times they'll just go along with the program. In the case I did on the Superbike murders, and you can look up Superbike profiler Pat Brown, you'll find it. And I worked on that case with the police department, sheriff's department, and I was there for a week, studied all the information. And the information evidence supported a particular person. And I gave them that profile. I believe it was John Douglas who rolled in and had lunch with the sheriff. And over lunch, he told them that it was a burglary, like guy was pissed off or the burglary thing gone bad. And there was no evidence of that. Of course, they eventually charged a guy who clearly did not commit the crime, but was a serial killer, and charged him. So the whole thing, it turned out to be complete, just unbelievable. There's that sheriff right was sheriff wrong, and he was corrupt as hell. And he closed the case down so he could win the election. And he had a serial killer who got out of the death penalty by confessing to a crime he didn't commit. But John Douglas, over lunch, decided whatever. The sheriff told him it's what he thought it was, and he was perfectly happy to agree with it. So very frustrating, but that's the way it worked. I had lunch with Elvis the other day. Now you're telling me he's dead, but he's happy. Don't worry about it. He's super, super happy. He's super happy. Oh, that's interesting. I saw a great TV show years ago called Shut Eye about a family of modern day grifters who acted as fortune tellers and mediums, and they showed how they ripped people off. Tricks of the trade. They're like magicians. The difference between magicians and psychics and mediums is this. Magicians are highly skilled, and you know they're tricking you. But that's the whole point. You can't figure out the trick. Although these days you can go on YouTube and find out what the trick was. And I think that's kind of sad because magicians used to keep it between all of them. But anybody who went to a magic show knew it wasn't magic. They knew it was a trick. And it's just fun it's like, God, how did they do that? That's perfectly fine. They're not really lying to you about anything. But mediums they're using tricks too. And they're skilled, some of them, very highly skilled. I'm not knocking their skill. I'm knocking the fact that they're frauds. They claim they're actually literally, and they want people to truly believe that they are contacting spirits. That's what's so wrong. The magicians never say that they're actually doing magic. They don't. They tell you, of course I'm doing a trick. That's the whole point of it. But the only way that mediums can keep in business is to lie to people and have them believe. Especially these good-hearted people who are suffering. It's just sick. It's such a sick thing. It just, I have no kindness toward mediums because it just disgusts me. You're taking advantage of people who are suffering. And you're helping them by lying to them. Well, fine. No, that's not okay. Sorry. And you're making money off of them as well. Making a lot of money off of them. Anyway, so that was I thought was interesting. I had one more. Somebody asked me about this person. Let's see, one more thing. Maybe a couple other things, depending on the time. I just want to say that I don't know how to pronounce her name. It's Gisele Pelicot. She's the woman who was raped by her husband and a bunch of his friends he got off of the internet. And she says here, shame must change sides. She is a freaking brave woman who is willing to have what happened to her be very, very public. And the judge, this was really amazing because I read this and I was like pissed. And then I read that she wanted it. A judge rules public can view video evidence in French mass rape trial. Now, I don't know what video evidence, whether it's showing all of the videos or just part of it, pieces of it. A French judge has reversed a ruling in the trial of a man who is accused of drugging his wife to sleep and recruiting dozens of men to abuse her over a decade. Lawyers for Gisele, age 32, had earlier appealed against the judge's initial decision to only show the video of the crimes to lawyers and the jury. So originally it was just going to be internal. Her own lawyers went ahead and said she wants it public. Why? She has waived her right to anonymity in the trial, enabling the shocking details of the case to be heard in public. Her lawyers argued the video should be shown to draw attention to the use of drugs to commit sexual abuse, and she is willing that people see that, and she actually wants people to see it because she wants people to understand how horrible this was. She is that's amazing. That's a hard thing to do, but she wants to reach out to all women and save women from what she went through. But she feels if it's hidden, that they won't get the point, and by making it public, they'll know. I think that's amazing. I really do. It's like something else. Now, Michaela said again, bye, Michaela. It's 11 a.m. here. People not going to bed yet. Well, that's the advantage of doing these live shows is that if you only make it halfway through, when you wake up in the morning, you just start where you left off. And that's true for all videos, by the way. People say, your video is too long, I couldn't make it through. Well, okay, then stop it and come back. I've done that with many videos where I really want to hear what the person has to say, but I don't have the energy at the time to do more than 10 or 15 minutes. I just put it in parts. I mean, you read a book in chapters. You feel every time you sit down with a book, you have to read the whole damn thing? Or are you willing to just put a bookmark in? It's a bookmark. You put the book down, you come back. Same thing for videos. Come back for the rest of the video. And when you have time. So this is kind of funny. And so, a thing I just want to say about, I just did this video on, what's his name? Hold on a second. I can look it up now. Robert Roberson. Robert Roberson. I just did the video on Robert Roberson. Should he be executed? And it was really interesting because when I did it, I intended to do 30 minutes, and it turned out to be an hour and a half. And it was a video, not a live show. And I realized as I had so much information. The case was so complicated, and there were so many aspects of the case I needed to talk about to make the case make sense. Since the case went out, and every media channel again says Robert Roberson is an autistic man, didn't kill his 2-year-old daughter, and he's just an autistic man is being put to death in a couple of days, and by the end of the month in Texas. And so it's all about an autistic man who, because his behaviors were odd at the time, the detective and the hospital staff believe he killed his 2-year-old. And no, it really turns out that she had some undiagnosed pneumonia issue, blah, 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 and he didn't kill her. And they said he was convicted on shaken baby syndrome, and it wasn't shaken baby syndrome. That's been discounted as even a reasonable, scientifically been discounted. Well, first of all, he was not convicted just on that. That's not true. So that's the Lies from the Innocence Project. But I wanted to go through the entire case because there's so many things about the case. And so it took me an hour and a half, and there was just, when I finished that, it was one of those cases where when I finished the video, I was like, I really like that. I really like what I got out there. I mean, I really got in so much good stuff. But, I noticed a lot of people watching the video, they're gone in 15 minutes, they're gone in 30 minutes. And I'm like, darn it all, you need to watch the whole video, especially when I get to the end. I do give my personal determination on whether he is guilty or not guilty, and whether I think he should be executed or not. And the answer to that, just in case you're wondering, because you're here, my determination was he is guilty, but I did not think he should get the death penalty because I did not see it as a premeditated homicide. I believed it was a case of he wanted to shut the child up. The child was screaming and crying, and either over-medicated her or he tried to silence her by putting his hand over her face, or both. And I think it was not premeditated. So I think he should have gotten charged, but it's not premeditated. But I went through all the different reasons why it came to that. But most people can't sit through the hour and a half. They're like, Pat Brown, why don't you say that in 10 minutes like I just did now? Well, what I told you now, I'm not supporting that with any evidence. It's a Pat Brown opinion. So what? We all have opinions. I gave one. You learned nothing from it. I have nothing that supports it in that little thing I just said. But if you go to the video, you'll see how I go through each one of the things it supports, where I come to at the end. If people want to actually learn and be educated, they have to be willing to read or watch longer than some soundbite. But we have a lot of people can't get to more than a soundbite. But also people don't seem to get the point that they can come back to something just like a book has a bookmark in it. Put a bookmark in the video and return, which you do. When you watch part of a video, you just go back to your library and you just click it and it starts exactly where you left off. I do it all the time because I can't watch straight through a lot of times. Or I fall asleep and go, what the heck? Where was I? And I go back and have to move it. That's the advantage of having a book or anything that's streamed, that's a video. Because if you go to the movie theater and you fall asleep halfway through the movie, you wake up and go, crap, I missed the rest of the movie and I just spent $15 on this thing. But if you watch the movie at home and you fall asleep, you just pick up where you left off. So no excuses, in my opinion. And I do appreciate people who come back and learn more. So let's see. Okay, I guess I'll just do a couple fun things and then I'll call it a night. Let's see. Let's see what I want to do. Oh, okay. This is a Dear Abby, just because I love this, sometimes the stupidity of Dear Abby. Dear Abby, I met a wonderful man on a cruise. We hit it off fabulously. And since we live 1,000 miles apart, we stay in touch primarily by phone, talking and video chatting. He has come to visit me 4 times in the past year, and we have taken 2 trips together. He has met my friends and neighbors and has spoken to my family on the phone. They live in a different state than I do. He says he loves me and I'm the woman he's looked for his entire life. The problem is I have never been invited to visit him. When I asked why, he told me his daughters, who are in their 20s and live at home, as well as his siblings, are opposed to him dating and want him to reunite with his ex. He has been divorced for 3 years. This is concerning enough, but I've never spoken to any of his friends on the phone either. Something smells fishy. It took you that long to find out there was fishiness? It feels like either I'm nothing more than a side piece, or perhaps he's ashamed of me and doesn't want me to meet or talk to anyone he knows. Or maybe he's not divorced at all. Do you think? I don't want to waste precious time on something that isn't going anywhere. Are my expectations too great? Or I'm an idiot? Yes, you are. For allowing this to go on as long as it has. Yes, you are. You're an idiot. Here's how you're an idiot. First of all, one of the interesting things these days is that cell phones have allowed people to cheat on their wives and husbands and significant others way more than in the past. Because in the past, you had to call they had to call their home, and their wife picks up and goes, hello? So now with cell phones, the person can talk to you from the bathroom, from the back porch, walking along. You can never ever have to call his home, so you never know who is in that home. So, a year ago, we hit it off fabulously, which meant you slept with the guy during the cruise. I'm going to guarantee that, because he's not going to waste his time with you if you didn't sleep with him. So you had sex with him on the cruise. And then he's like, oh, cool. I travel a bit. I can come and visit her and get sex outside of marriage. And then they took 2 trips together. Okay. So he's playing her. It's clear he's playing her. What should she have done? Well, the first thing is, first of all, don't sleep with him right away. But okay, let's say you did. And then you're like, now we live, and how do I know you're divorced? Okay. Send me a picture of your divorce decree. Send me a copy of your driver's license. I want to know where you live. Are you worried about me being a stalker? Well, I'm worried about you being a fat cheat. So if a person can't cooperate in that way, then clearly they're hiding something. and it's nonsense. I mean, you shouldn't waste your time with him. Or if he comes to visit you once, you say, I will come visit you next time at your home. That's, I mean, just one time, you're home next. And if he can't, he won't let you come to his home, right, the next time, done deal. So yeah, you are an idiot. Quite frankly, you are an idiot. And she says, dear feeling foolish, I don't blame you for being concerned. Concerned if after a year of being courted, you still haven't been introduced. Either the man is spineless, which is a good reason not to be with him, or he hasn't been upfront with you. You think? If he hasn't let you, he's definitely not upfront. That's not even a question. He's obviously hiding something. If he can't convince him to stand up for himself and make clear to his relative that he has moved on from his divorce, she doesn't need to do that. All she needs to do is say, I want to come to your home and visit you, or give me your address so I can go on Intellius and put your name and address, put your name in and see how many people live at your address, including the name of your wife. Get out of here. This is just foolishness, absolute foolishness. And it's sad because, anybody can have a great time on a cruise. Everybody's drinking, having fun. And you meet somebody and, oh my God, here's a guy who likes me. And he probably doesn't have his wedding ring on, but yeah, people are fools. Here's the last one I'm going to do. This is just an interesting one that hits home to me. This is Eric. He's one of the new guys out there. Asking Eric, setting boundaries with a family member who is convicted of a heinous crime. Dear Eric, my sister's only son and my only nephew is incarcerated in another state and will remain so for many more years for sex crimes against a child. I am still flabbergasted as how he could commit such a heinous crime. And when he says child and many, many years, I'm going to say this wasn't a case of an 18-year-old with a 16-year-old or something, you know what I mean? I'm going to say this is a major crime. My sister maintains contact with him, but no one else in the family is interested in communicating with him. He wants to be able to call and write me. I'm sure he needs emotional support. No, he'd be a stooge. And I know he will ask for money to be put on his books. Absolutely. I really don't want anything to do with such a person and can't imagine what I can possibly say to him other than to express my absolute disgust in his actions that will affect this child in one way or another for the rest of her entire life. I've told my sister that I have no interest in communicating with him. Good for you. And to please not give him my phone number or email address under any circumstances. Good for you. Am I being too harsh? No. I remember the day he was born and how happy and close we were all for so long. Yeah, because he was a baby. Babies are cute. Toddlers can be cute. Little children can be cute. And then they turn into monsters. His actions are unforgivable as far as I'm concerned. That's fine. You have every right to not want to have anything to do with him. But here's what Eric says. Dear conflicted, you're not being too harsh. Good. You've set a boundary. Good. He needs to honor it, as does your sister. So I'm on board with Eric here. Though he says he wants to be in contact, I'm not seeing any work that he's doing or has done to repair the relationship with you. Okay, there I have a problem. Without repair, there can't be a relationship. If he's ready, willing, and able to do the work, he can send word to your sister. And you can decide whether a new relationship is possible after he's done this work to repair the relationship. How the hell is he going to repair the relationship? He sexually assaulted a child. Only thing that matters is, can he repair that child? How's he going to repair the relationship with you? Oh, what's he supposed to say? I realize now I was a bad boy. I realize now I shouldn't have screwed kids. I mean, what is he going to do to repair the relationship? He didn't care about you. He didn't care about anybody else. He didn't care about that kid. There's nothing to repair. Remember that line I talked about? That's a line, that guy crossed it. That's when you just say, I'm done. I don't want to be associated with you. And there's nothing you can tell me that is ever going to make a difference. What you need to do is do your time. And if you get out, when you get out, the best you can do is live as quietly as you can and not disturb other people, never get near another child as long as you live. But I have no reason to ever be part of your life ever again. I'm done. A sister should say the same thing to her son. I'm sorry, but if my son's sexually assaulted a child, I'm done. Sorry, I'm done. There's no coming back from that. That's not that little thin line where, okay, you made a mistake. That's not a mistake. That's horrific. And probably the P word, psychopath. Well, there you go. Sometimes you got to do that. Yeah, got to do that. But it's the concept. See, Eric has a concept, and I think it's wrong because I think he's probably a nice person who always believes there's hope. But there's some things that you cannot take a chance on because the guy will play you and play you and play you. He will tell you he's sorry. He will tell you he didn't mean to do it. He will tell you he was drunk at the time. He will tell you this. He will tell you that. But I can guarantee you, I don't care how drunk my sons are. You're not going to find them in the bed of a 10-year-old. I don't care how drunk they are. It's never, ever going to happen because I know my two sons. They're never going to get so drunk that they go out and rape a woman on the street. It's never going to happen because they're not psychopaths. You got to be one to commit rape. And once you're that, all you can do is they need to be punished to much as the law can do. And then have people watching their little butts when they get out. And hopefully they've learned their lesson that it's not worth doing again because they don't want to go back to prison. Not because they care about the kid, not because they think it's wrong to rape and murder or whatever they're doing, but because they themselves don't want to go back to prison. That's what Stanton Salmanow wrote in his book, Inside the Criminal Mind. He realized that he said, yes, you can get guys who are in prison who are psychopaths. You can't fix them. You can help them understand that doing certain things will not be advantageous to them. He figured that out. So yes, you can help psychopaths pick a better road, but only because it's the road that they think they can get away with better things on and won't suffer. But you can never convince them that they need to be better people. That's just nonsense. Or that what they did was wrong. They don't care. So all you can do is come up with another way of making sure that if they ever do this kind of thing, it ruins them. It makes them miserable. It makes them suffer. That's why you have to have a reasonable amount of penalty. And then when they get out, maybe they will manipulate people and rip them off and stuff like that. But maybe they won't rape, theoretically. So, but that's the only thing you can hope for. But there's no reason to want to continue a relationship with a person like that. Yeah, deterrence. Thank you. Deterrence because they can't be reformed. That is correct. That is the best way to put it. If they're not really going to be reformed, they can be, again, deterred from doing things and shown a better way to get away with better things, less horrible things, but still beneficial to them. So it's you're dealing with snake. The snake is a snake, so. Oh, thank you, Ivana. Pat, I really liked your video on Robert Roberson. You did a great job. Even though it's hard for me to listen about the death of the child, you covered and explained a lot about the case. Thank you. I was very pleased with my video. I mean, it was one of those where I really felt like there was a lot to talk about, and I was like, wow, I didn't even realize starting how much information I had that I wanted to express. But I was pleased with it. Not that it's going to be highly popular, and people won't get to the end because they want the 15 minutes and they're done. But then it would have served no purpose for me to shorten that. So DL says, Pat, my neighbor died recently at the age of 99. I bought all her books from her estate sale. Some were very old. One book I have from her is Dear Abby, published in 1956. Thought of you immediately. I don't know. That was the original Dear Abby. And I don't remember whether I thought the original Dear Abby was better. And also, I have to admit, I think a lot of the original Dear Abby stuff was much simpler. And in this new day and age, with so many weird and crappy things going on, I think the questions have gotten a little bit more outrageous. So I don't know. I don't know. I can't. I wish I have to. I'd have to look back at the old Dear Abby book, Dear Abby advice, and see whether I agree with the older Dear Abby rather than the new Dear Abby. I just think she's not very right most of the time, and it's funny how pretty much they're not even psychologists who are giving the advice or criminal profiles or anything. They're just people. Eric, I don't know who the heck Eric is now. Who is Eric? Let me see who Eric is. Eric is, who the heck is Eric? Eric Thomas. His name is Eric Thomas. Is come on, he's a national best-selling author. This is him. Nice looking fellow. Okay, there he is. That's Eric. He's a national best-selling author, playwright, and screenwriter. How to Save Your Soul in America, which Lin-Manuel Miranda has hailed as a pop culture obsessed, David Sedaris level laugh out loud funny. He does humor columns, pop culture. Oh, he was, oh my God, he was a temporary Slate advice column person. If you ever read the advice in Slate, it's horrific. I mean, Slate has the most scuzzy questions ever and the most sleazy people and the sleaziest answers. So he's a pop culture dude who is now giving advice. Sometimes I agree with him. It's just kind of odd, you know. So, yeah, that is true. People would never have exposed the weird stuff they do now in an original Dear Abby, and they wouldn't have printed it back in the day. So, yeah. Let's see. Was there anything else in here? Let me just check. Oh, I have more things, but yeah, I might want to save that. No, I'm going to save that till next time. So, anyway, I think their profile of Pat will go viral one day. Yeah, 1920s. I do not have 1920s morality. I have logic. I'm thinking, by the way, people have told me I should have a separate channel, and they're probably correct. But what I'm thinking of doing is, I think what I can do is I can remove one of my Dear Profiler Pats at a time and move it over to a Dear Profiler Pat channel. It'll take, I have to get 1,000 subscribers there before I can be monetized, the usual problem, which will take forever. It took me a really long time just to get, it took me 4 months on this channel. My son is still trying after 3 years. And if I put it over there, I don't know whether as a separate channel, more people will come and watch the videos and get my advice. But I'm thinking, once it's already been here for a while, I can just remove one at a time. You can't have it on both channels at the same time. That will shut my channel down. But I can remove it entirely and put it on a new channel. And then I can slowly move all my previous ones over there. And then if it becomes popular enough, I can then just put the new ones up on that channel. That's my theory. I'll see whether I do that. The Pat Brown assholes. Oh, that's terrible. Yeah, I haven't done it. I haven't done zero merch, if you noticed. I don't have any t-shirts. I don't have any cups. I just haven't. There's just so many things which I haven't had the energy to bother with. I have so many plans for things I want to do on this channel, especially with the school of profiling, which I want to put on this channel. That is just, people have no idea how hard it is to get everything done. It's sometimes very overwhelming. Yeah, so it's like, I'm a one-woman show here, so I don't have any help. So everything is, it's just, sometimes it can be hard to do all these things. And it's just, I want to focus most on what I really think is important rather than get too distracted over on a bunch of other crap. We will buy your shirts. I'll have to think about that. Oh my God. You're demented. Well, that might happen, oh Lord. So anyway, I will be back on Sunday with my show. I'm seriously thinking about doing the park bench case, which I've been asked to do. I've also been asked to do the Mexico case about the little girl who goes missing for a week and is found hidden in her bed. But I'm watching right now I'm watching the telenovela on that show, which it's a Mexican telenovela. And I'm studying Spanish, so it gives me a good reason to watch it. Her name was Paulette Farah. She was a 4-year-old disabled child it's an interesting case, but so far the telenovela is just crap. And it's mostly just bad gossip and reenactments of stuff. It's a fictionalized version, like the Menendez brothers, which, by the way, I tried to watch that and I got through like 50 minutes of it. I want to punch the screen. And to me was just, I don't like any kind of fictionalized versions where the director is making the determination of how everybody behaved and what they felt and what they did. That really bothers me. If you're going to do that for fiction, just do it for fiction. I don't care what you do in fiction, because fiction, you're writing yourself. If you want to have an affair between two people, so you have it. But if you're doing something based on true real life, it really bothers me when the director can decide what that person is like and what they will do. The Menendez brothers are apparently really pissed at the thing because they pushed the fact there might have been a incestuous relationship between the two brothers. So they were very, very close, and who knows? Maybe there was, but I don't have proof of that, and I just think it should not be fictionalized in that way. So I'm having trouble with the Paulette Farah case for the same reason. So much of it I feel like I'm being manipulated, and I don't know that any of that stuff is valid. So I'm going to have to go and research more about the case, and I think I may just do a short video on it. Because I think I have a clue what the answer is, and I just don't think it might deserve 2 hours. But so I haven't quite decided which one to do yet. So you still have time to push me into whatever show I'm going to do on Sunday. But I have been looking at the park bench murders. I've watched the documentary on it. It's very interesting and very quite a mystery, shall we say. So the Anita Byington case. I have not heard about that. Oh yeah, sure. Oh, I'm sorry. I have heard about that. You can send that along to me to my email. I will be happy to look at that case. I will. I don't know what I think yet. I started looking over what's happened with her and what's going on. Why you're so pissed off. I certainly understand that. So yeah, you feel free to send it to my email. How soon I'll get to it? Don't know. No, okay, okay. The reason Michaela has come up with great stuff that I can't do anything with yet. The reason I can't do the Samantha Murphy case, Michaela, is because I have so little information. I'm not a psychic. So all I know is she goes running and she vanishes, and they've arrested this young, very attractive young man who seems like he has a great life and everything's going well for him in life. He doesn't look like a serial killer type. And I don't know what they've kept everything very quiet about why they arrested him, what evidence they had to arrest him. They said nothing, so I know nothing. I can't tell whether it was because he hit her with his car and then he freaked out and moved her body and dumped it someplace, or because he was drunk at the time or something, or whether it was a sexual crime. I haven't got anything. And so that's why I can't do it. There's a lot of cases I'm looking forward myself to getting more information. And so at some point I may be able to do the case, but a lot of times I'm like, I ain't got a clue. It doesn't make a very good video because I can't analyze what I don't know. So I have looked at that case a number of times and the recent, and it's an interesting case. Just don't know yet. Yeah, they haven't. They've been very quiet. I have to assume they have something to arrest, because when I looked at this young man, he's not a person you would suspect. Let's put it that way. I say good looking. He's involved in sports of some sort. And she's an older woman, and you just think of this guy, what? This guy is a serial killer. If that's what they're into, if that's what he is. it could be, because there's been young, handsome men who've committed crimes like that before. So it's not that it's impossible, but it's also possible he's drunk and hit her with a car. But I just don't know. I got nothing. I got nothing. I've looked at the area where, it supposedly happened, where she disappeared, but they don't even have a body. So, yeah. The Farah case, it's on Netflix. It's called, and so if I decide to do that at some point, it's if you can wade through it. I mean, it's just, because I'm studying Spanish, I'm willing to wade more than most people probably. But it is, okay, it is called The Search. The Search. And it's brand new. And it has how long is this thing? It's six episodes. I'm going to probably finish watching it, but I'm just not sure. I'm just seeing way too much what seems to me be political stuff, and I just don't know. This is the reason it's being covered up, or the reason people aren't doing. I think it's just it's very telenovela-like. And again, if it were a telenovela that's just a story, I'm watching. Right now, I'm watching La Usurpadora. La Usurpadora. It's on Prime Video. I am watching that, study my Spanish, and it's just it's it's kind of stupid, because you got twin sisters, and one lives in Mexico and one lives in Colombia, and they don't know about each other. But finally, the Mexican one finds out she's got a sister in Colombia, which is useful to her because she is the first lady of Mexico. She's married to the president, and she doesn't want to stay in her life anymore. She wants to run off with this other guy. So she wants to replace herself. So she kidnaps her sister. And then she says, if you don't cooperate, because we look exactly alike, if you don't take my place, I'm going to kill your mother. I'll torture her and kill her. So she takes her place. Within 2 weeks, amazingly, this Colombian woman speaks with a perfect Mexican accent. And she's able to, nobody knows. Her husband doesn't realize it isn't her. Her daughter doesn't realize it isn't the real Powell. It's just stupid as all get out. So, but I'm just trying to learn Spanish. So, if it's stupid, a lot of it is amusing, and very dramatic and all that kind of crap. It's telenovela. So I don't mind that. But when it's supposed to be based on a real case, this is so far not one of the better. It's not a documentary. That's the problem. I've seen some really good documentaries on certain cases, which are fascinating. This isn't a documentary. It's unfortunately a fictionalized version of it, and I'm not too thrilled. So there you go. Well, I don't mind the difficult cases. I just have to be able to. I just need the evidence to be able to analyze it. And unfortunately, sometimes I get a lot of cases, not just you, Michaela. Tons of people give me cases which I list and put them aside. I start looking at them, and then I sort of say, I don't know. I don't have enough here, or until I find more information, kind of, can't go anywhere with it, because I'm not a storytelling show. If I were a storytelling show, I'd do this one tomorrow. Hey, Samantha Murthy, let me tell you what happened to her. But if I actually have to tell you what happened to her, I'm kind of doomed. So, but so many fascinating cases. I did talk about that case. I did a show on that case, by the way. Who was the girl that was attached to the mailbox? Hold on a second. I did a show on. I think I did a whole. Did I do a whole show, or did I just do a bit on it? Woman. She was a woman. She wasn't a girl, was it? Woman hung on mailbox. I'm doing this now. Mailbox. I want to see if I did this show. Jessica Johnson was the girl. Let me see if I did a show on it. And how do you know? How do you find out? I have to do the same thing you guys do, because I can't remember all of my shows. Profiler Pat Brown, Jessica Johnson. I put this into the YouTube search engine, not the regular search engine. I think I must have done. It must have been on a Hangout, but I do not think I thought she was killed. I think I thought it was actually suicide. But I don't see any. Where did I do it? Oh, that's so annoying. Let's see, Jessica. Sometimes I have a couple ways of finding out whether I did the show or not. Don't know. Oh, here it is. It's Patron Hangout number 143. I'll put that one. So it's Patron Hangout number 143. That is Jessica Johnson. Oops. Jessica. Whoops, what's happening here? Hold on. Jessica Johnson. Okay. So that is the I don't know. Sometimes I'll actually talk about a case, as you've seen on many of my hangouts, for 15 minutes or 20 minutes. So it's actually not that short, but it isn't. I can't do a whole 2 hours on it. So I did talk about the Jessica Johnson case at 143. So Matthew Johnson. See, I have so many names I can't remember anything. Matthew, forgot who he was too. Who was Matthew Johnson? Did I talk about Matthew Johnson? Let's see. Matthew Johnson. They start blending in my head sometimes. I don't think I talked about. Which one was he? Who's Matthew Johnson? Tell me quickly. Why do I not remember what Matthew Johnson is? I don't even remember the cases. Sometimes I don't even remember the cases that I actually did myself, much less, when I actually worked on them, as opposed to missing Matthew Johnson. Oh, no, that's not. Oh, wait a minute. You're talking about Matthew. Okay, wait a minute. You're talking, he's the one that's been, okay. I actually can talk about that. That was actually going to be today. And here they are. That's Matthew Johnson. Okay. Matthew Johnson, his wife, and the 3 kids. Okay. I can even talk about this. So yes, I actually was going to do that one today. It was one of them. There's not much to talk about except for the fact that his wife admitted to somebody she killed him. So he went missing. They were in the middle of a custody dispute, and she kept claiming that trying to find this. She kept claiming that she would take videos and say he was abusing her, and the court looked at it and said, no, he's not. We did not see that he was abusing her at all. This took place in Utah, by the way. She is she openly admitted to shooting him while he slept, according to court documents. And she supposedly told somebody else this. Now, here's this thing. If you're going to go through all the work of killing your husband and removing his body from the house and hiding his body and covering up the crime, maybe you should keep your mouth shut. You think? So anyway, Jennifer Gledhill, that's the name of the wife, Jennifer Gledhill. And, they look like such a nice, normal family. It's just, and this is kind of shocking in the sense that usually you think of it, the guy's going to kill the women, not a woman killing the guy in this situation. She's been on 1 count of first-degree felony murder and 1 count of second-degree felony obstruction of justice. So here's what happened. She told a third party that she had shot her estranged husband in the head in the master bedroom of the Cottonwood Heights home. She allegedly told the third party she then buried Matthew Johnson in a shallow grave at an undisclosed location. Well, you might as well just say where he's at. Okay, and why do I say that? I wouldn't necessarily believe some witness who said that you said that, but here's the problem. So she then started messing up. She then started cleaning up the house. Through their investigation, detectives reportedly found a large blood-stained spot underneath the bed in the master bedroom and blood on the bed frame slats. Detectives say evidence was collected on the scene also suggests a significant cleanup, including bleaching the walls and using carpet cleaning supplies. A new mattress was reportedly ordered on September 24th, days after he was reported missing. It is known the couple have been considering divorce since July of this year and that they have 3 minor children, 11, 7, and 5. Oh, those poor kids. That's just how people do not think about the children and only themselves is disgusting. So now dad's dead. Mom's going to be in prison the rest of her life. And these 3 kids have to live with the fact their mom killed their dad and now they're being raised by relatives. disgusting. So that's the case. There's not much to talk about it, but that's the case. Yeah, well, that doesn't help either. Yeah, don't get caught on camera. So the real point is, if you're going to plan a crime like this, don't do anything on your computer. Make sure you leave town and buy your supplies way ahead of time, right? You got to do these things right. Yeah, unbelievable. It's hard to fathom that I guess I see it when you don't have kids. It's just a couple of you all mad at each other and one of you decides to kill the other one, fine. If your families aren't going to be happy, but once you have the children there, I don't understand. See, this I do not understand. I'm divorced after 25 years, but not a happy divorce. But my children love their father. He was a good father to them. I can't imagine killing him and leaving my 3 children without their dad for the rest of their life, regardless of what I think about it. My little hurt feelings, they're my children. My children are more important than my feelings. Unless you were abusive and horrible to them or sexual assaulting them, yeah, then that would be a different matter. But that's not true. So my kids' feelings matter. I can't take their father away from them. It's because I have issues. So I don't understand. I mean, divorce is bad enough, but my God, actually killing off the father of your children is pretty horrific. And then, of course, you get lost as well, because now your children are without a mother. So didn't you care your children had a mother? Maybe you didn't care if they didn't have a father, but now they don't have a mother. So I'm going to say she had some issues, some personality issues. They patented Pat Brown murder cleanup kit as a wedding present. Oh, that's a wedding present. There we go. You might as well plan ahead. I think that would be kind of useful. Yeah. There's a thought. Oh my God, that's terrible. When I murder my ex, I can do my case here. Yeah, I'll try to avoid that, So not that I don't know how to get away with it. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I think you're right. Weevil needs to be my marketing manager. Okay, that's it. I'm going to take off and make myself a salad. And I'll see you guys on Sunday. And I hope to see you there, and I'll figure out what I'm going to do. And you still have a chance to try to push me into something. And don't worry. Someday I may get to the case you all sent me. I want to say this. People don't realize the amount of stuff that I get, email-wise, message-wise. It's sometimes overwhelming. And I'm anybody who knows me knows I'm a very poor, I'm not good at filing crap. I'm not, stuff is there. I find stuff. I don't find stuff. I mean, it's just not me. I'm not very organized in that sense. So I don't think I'm going to change at this point in my life. So sometimes it just gets like, oh my God, I forgot where I put that. Or I thought I was going to look at that case and I didn't get to it. Or I've opened up a million different pages on my iPad, and I'm like, yeah. Or I look at it and I start into it and then I come back to it. It's a lot more difficult than people think. So that's my excuse. I'm going to stick by it. But you're always welcome to push me again. Just send another. Sometimes people have taken 4 or 5, 6 times before I did the show, and maybe it was a year later. But eventually, if it's something I really can do, I will eventually probably do it, because if it's interesting to me and I can analyze it, I will eventually do it. And there's so much crime out there, though, that I can't get everything done every week. Anyway, thank you guys for being here. And if you're new and you're still here, subscribe to the channel, join Patreon. So, aw, aren't you nice? That does help me. Let me tell you, the one thing about Patreon, which is so nice, is that you guys, because you really want to be here, you're actually very nice to me. Whereas the messages sometimes come across on YouTube, or, pretty vicious. And people say, oh, don't pay attention. Well, I don't pay attention compared to what some people, some people fall apart completely. And I'm so used to it by now. But I'll still tell you, you're going along and I do answer. I mean, if anybody's seen, I do answer people comments. A lot of people do this kind of thing, don't answer any comments at all. They don't want to look at them and they don't answer them. And I do try to, can't do all of them, but when I see an interesting one, I respond. And if I see a nasty one, I block. And but sometimes you see it coming, you go, geez, and it's kind of like Chinese water torture treatment. It's not that you mind, it's just a water drop. But if you get enough of those damn water drops, after a while, it's just irritating, So that's why some people block all comments or refuse to look at them. But I do look. So I always appreciate the nice people that help take the edge off of all the nasty human beings. So anyway, night cat's pat, and cat's past chat. It's Dr. Seuss. Oh my gosh. Are you talking about my disorganization? Yeah, probably. I am what I am. More Dr. Seuss. I am what I am. Is that no way? Who said that? Sorry, it's not Dr. Seuss. Who said I am what I am? Oh, it's Popeye. Anyway, guys, I'll see some of you on Sunday. Bye.